The midday sun filtered through the large windows of the bustling cafe nestled in the heart of downtown Seattle, casting warm patches of light over the worn wooden tables and the steady flow of patrons eager for their lunch break. Inside, the hum of conversations blended with the clinking of cups and the soft hiss of the espresso machine. Mia, a young waitress with a quick smile and an energetic stride, weaved deftly between the tables, balancing a tray of steaming sandwiches and iced coffees. The lunch rush was in full swing, with the cafe packed from corner to corner, a haven for office workers, students, and locals alike seeking a brief respite from their busy days. Mia had worked here for nearly 6 months, and she knew the rhythm of the cafe like the back of her hand. With her dark hair pulled back into a loose ponytail and a name tag pinned crookedly to her faded green apron, she was the embodiment of youthful confidence. Today, however, a certain restless edge lingered in her movements, one that would soon lead to a moment that none in the cafe would forget. Before we continue, make sure to like and subscribe to never miss a new video. And tell me, where are you watching this video from? I love seeing all different people come together for these stories. The bell above the door jingled sharply, drawing the attention of a few patrons as a figure shuffled inside. Jack was a man who seemed out of place in the lively cafe, his appearance marked by years of hardship. His clothes were worn and patched, the fabric faded from countless washes and the harshness of the streets. A tangle of gray-streaked hair fell unevenly around his weathered face, and his eyes, though guarded, held a quiet depth. At his side sat Rex, a large German shepherd with a calm demeanor, alert ears, and eyes that mirrored the loyalty and discipline of a well-trained companion. The dog settled quietly near the entrance, a silent sentinel amidst the clatter of urban life. Jack's entrance was met with a mixture of glances, some wary, others sympathetic, and a few indifferent. He approached the counter slowly, his hands folded together as if weighing the courage to ask. When he finally spoke, his voice was low but steady. "Excuse me, ma'am. Could you spare some change?" Mia, who had just returned with a fresh pot of coffee, looked up and caught sight of Jack. A smirk flickered across her face, one born of youthful impatience and the easy judgments that come with unfamiliarity. "Change? For what? You look like you haven't seen a bath in weeks," she said, her tone dripping with sarcasm as a few nearby patrons chuckled uneasily. "Maybe try a soup kitchen instead of begging around here." The laughter grew louder, emboldening Mia further. "If you want to eat, you should work for it like the rest of us," she added, folding her arms with a swagger that masked a deeper insecurity. The cafe, once filled with the quiet murmur of lunchtime chatter, now pulsed with an uncomfortable energy. Many of the patrons glanced away, unwilling to confront the awkwardness that had settled like a dark cloud over the room. Unfazed, Jack remained calm. His eyes met Mia's with a steady gaze, neither angry nor defensive, but carrying a weight of experience that silenced the room more effectively than any raised voice could. "I used to work hard," he said quietly. "Served my country for years. Things don't always go as planned." His words, though simple, carried the gravity of a life marked by sacrifice and loss. Rex shifted slightly, his head rising as he sensed the tension. The dog's presence was a quiet reminder of discipline and loyalty, a contrast to the harsh judgment being cast. He moved to stand protectively beside Jack, his imposing frame drawing cautious looks from the other customers. One of the patrons, a middle-aged man with a cup of black coffee, leaned over to whisper to the person next to him. His glance discreetly flicked to the faded tattoo visible on Jack's forearm, an anchor entwined with a trident, the unmistakable symbol of the Navy SEALs. Wordless recognition passed between them, and soon a ripple of awareness spread through the cafe. The laughter died down, replaced by a low murmur of surprise and respect. Mia's smirk faltered as she processed the shift in atmosphere. Her eyes darted around, catching the disapproving stares of some customers and the quiet nods of others. The realization hit her hard. The man she had mocked was not just a homeless stranger, but a veteran, a man who had given years of his life in service to his country. The weight of her words hung heavily in the air, and for the first time that day, her youthful bravado cracked. Jack took a deliberate breath, steadying himself. "I'm not here to cause trouble," he said, voice steady but firm. "Just asking for a little kindness. Rex here and I have both been through a lot." His gaze softened slightly as he glanced down at the dog, who sat patiently, waiting for his next command. "We're just trying to get by." The cafe's energy shifted again, this time towards something quieter, more reflective. Conversations hushed, and a few customers pulled out their phones, capturing the moment in still photos and video clips. The scene was unfolding like a small revelation, a slice of life that challenged the assumptions many carried about homelessness and veterans. Mia swallowed hard, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. She looked away for a moment, then back at Jack, her voice softer this time. "I didn't mean to be rude," she admitted, her fingers nervously twisting the hem of her apron. I didn't know." Jack nodded slowly, accepting the apology without a hint of bitterness. "Most people don't," he said quietly. "But it's never too late to start understanding." As the lunch rush continued around them, the cafe slowly returned to its usual rhythm, but the encounter left an indelible mark. Jack and Rex found a quiet corner by the window, where the dog settled comfortably on the floor, and Jack pulled out a small notebook, jotting down notes and plans, determined to keep moving forward despite the obstacles. Mia returned to her duties with a newfound awareness, her eyes lingering on Jack as she served other tables. The brief exchange had pierced through her world of routine and routine judgments, opening a door to empathy and understanding she hadn't expected to find that busy afternoon. Outside, the streets of Seattle pulsed with their usual energy, oblivious to the quiet transformation unfolding within the cafe walls. But for those who witnessed the meeting, it was clear that something had shifted. A moment of connection amid the noise, a reminder that every face in the crowd carried a story worth hearing. And as Jack and Rex prepared to continue their journey, they carried with them not just the weight of their past, but the fragile hope of a community beginning to see beyond appearances, toward the humanity that binds us all. The cafe had settled into a quieter pace as the lunch rush waned, but beneath its calm surface, a subtle tension lingered. Mia moved behind the counter with less certainty than before, her usual confident stride replaced by a hesitant shuffle. The earlier encounter with Jack, the disheveled man and his vigilant dog, Rex, had unsettled her more than she cared to admit. The remnants of her snide remarks echoed in her mind, clashing with the newfound respect that had quietly taken root. Jack remained seated near the window, his gaze steady and composed as he watched the ebb and flow of cafe patrons. Rex lay at his feet, ears pricked and alert to every sound. Despite the atmosphere of judgment that had greeted him earlier, Jack's demeanor was calm, anchored by years of discipline and a quiet strength that had seen him through darker days. As Mia tidied the counter, she found herself stealing glances toward Jack. There was something about him, a silent resilience, a depth behind his weathered eyes, that stirred a mix of emotions she struggled to name. Gathering her courage, she approached his table cautiously, clutching a small notepad in her hand. I wanted to say I'm sorry for how I acted earlier," she began, her voice low and tentative. "It wasn't right, and I shouldn't have spoken to you like that." Her eyes searched his face for a sign of forgiveness. Jack looked up, his expression softening. "Apology accepted," he replied with a nod. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong. More than most people have these days." Mia exhaled slowly, relieved yet still uncertain how to bridge the gap that had formed between them. "I guess I just didn't understand. I saw someone who looked, well, homeless, and I jumped to conclusions." She hesitated, then added, "I didn't know you served in the military." Jack's eyes flickered with a trace of warmth. "I was a Navy SEAL," he said simply. "Didn't expect to wear that title in a place like this, but it's a part of who I am." The words carried a weight that settled heavily in the quiet space between them. Mia's mind raced, questioning everything she had assumed about Jack and the people she'd passed by without a second thought. "That's incredible," she murmured. "I can't imagine what that's like." Jack shrugged modestly. "It's not about glory. It's about service, sacrifice, and sometimes loss." His gaze drifted toward Rex, who lifted his head as if sensing the shift in conversation. "Rex has been with me through it all. He's more than a dog, he's my partner, my friend." At that moment, a few patrons nearby began to take notice, their curiosity piqued by the exchange. One man leaned over to his companion, whispering about the tattoo on Jack's arm, a symbol of the elite unit he had once belonged to. The realization spread quietly, like a ripple moving through still water. Mia glanced around nervously, suddenly aware of the attention their conversation had drawn. "I'm sorry if I made you uncomfortable," she said, lowering her voice. "I just wish more people understood what veterans go through, especially those who don't have a place to call home." Jack nodded slowly, appreciating her honesty. "Most don't. The transition from service to civilian life is hard enough. Add homelessness, and it feels like the world forgets you." His voice held a quiet pain, but also a determination that refused to be extinguished. Rex shifted, resting his head on Jack's knee, a silent reminder of the bond that kept them both grounded. The dog's presence seemed to soften the room, turning wary glances into nods of respect. Some patrons pulled out their phones, capturing the moment as if to share a story that deserved to be told. Encouraged by the shift, Mia found herself asking, "Do you still work with veterans? Help them?" Jack's eyes brightened with a flicker of pride. "Yeah, I volunteer at a local shelter trying to give back, help others who are in the same shoes I was in." He paused, then smiled faintly. "It's not much, but it's something that keeps me going." Mia's heart lifted. "That's amazing. I never thought about the struggles vets face after they come home." She looked around the cafe, catching the eyes of a few patrons who now regarded Jack with newfound respect. "Maybe I can help too. I want to learn more." Jack's smile deepened. That's all anyone can ask for: an open mind and a willing heart. He leaned back, the weight of his past momentarily eased by the connection forming in this unlikely place. As the afternoon light shifted, the cafe became a backdrop for a quiet transformation. Conversations resumed, but with a different tone, one of empathy and curiosity rather than judgment. A nearby customer approached Mia, offering a tentative smile. "Thanks for speaking up," he said softly. "We need more of that." The small moments accumulated, weaving a tapestry of understanding that stretched beyond the walls of the cafe. Jack and Mia continued to talk, sharing stories and experiences that bridged gaps between worlds that often felt miles apart. Rex remained faithfully by Jack's side, a symbol of loyalty and hope. In the days that followed, the ripple effect grew. The video captured by a bystander during their initial encounter began to circulate on social media, drawing attention far beyond the neighborhood. Views climbed steadily as people shared and commented, moved by the story of a homeless veteran and the young woman who had learned to see him anew. Messages poured in from veterans, advocates, and everyday citizens touched by the narrative. Many expressed gratitude for shedding light on a reality often ignored. Others reached out with offers of support, resources, and friendship. A local veterans advocacy group contacted the cafe, eager to collaborate and raise awareness. Mia found herself at the center of a community conversation she had never expected to be part of. The embarrassment she once felt transformed into purpose. She volunteered to assist with outreach efforts, eager to use her voice to make a difference. Jack, too, felt the stirring of something hopeful. The recognition and support rekindled a sense of belonging he had long thought lost. Together with Rex, he prepared to step into a new chapter, one where past wounds might begin to heal, and where the bonds forged in the cafe could grow into something lasting. The cafe itself became more than a place for coffee and sandwiches. It turned into a gathering spot for dialogue and change. Patrons returned not just for the food, but for the sense of community taking root. The story of Jack and Mia became a spark, igniting conversations about empathy, respect, and the hidden battles many face every day. As the sun dipped lower over the Seattle skyline, the cafe's windows glowed warmly against the twilight. Inside, Jack and Mia shared a quiet moment, their differences bridged by understanding and a shared commitment to a cause greater than themselves. Rex, ever vigilant, rested his head on Jack's knee, a steadfast companion in a world that was slowly beginning to see him for who he truly was. The journey ahead remained uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, hope was tangible, a fragile but powerful force that promised a future shaped by compassion and connection. And in that moment, amid the clatter and chatter of the bustling cafe, two unlikely allies found common ground, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead together. The video had spread like wildfire across social media platforms, capturing a moment that resonated deeply with viewers nationwide. The brief clip showed Jack, the homeless man with weathered features and a steadfast gaze, calmly confronting Mia after her earlier mockery in the cafe. The scene unfolded with raw honesty, the tension, the apology, and the quiet dignity of a veteran who had served his country. Rex, the loyal German shepherd, sat protectively by Jack's side, a silent emblem of unwavering companionship. As the video gained traction, the story behind the faces began to emerge. Comments poured in, sharing admiration for Jack's resilience and respect for his military service. The hashtag #RespectForVets quickly trended, drawing attention not only to Jack's personal journey, but also to the broader issues of veteran homelessness and societal neglect. News outlets picked up the story, featuring interviews with local veterans organizations and community leaders eager to address the crisis. The cafe, once a simple neighborhood spot, found itself thrust into the spotlight. Management, initially unaware of the incident's impact, soon learned of the growing public discourse surrounding the events that had unfolded within their walls. The owner, a pragmatic woman named Clara, felt a mix of concern and responsibility. She had heard whispers among the staff and noticed the subtle shift in customer conversations. Recognizing the need to respond thoughtfully, Clara called a staff meeting to address the situation and plan a way forward. Mia, still grappling with her role in the incident, sat quietly during the meeting, The support from the community and the weight of the video's message had transformed her feelings of embarrassment into a determination to make amends. Clara spoke candidly about the cafe's values and the importance of fostering an environment of respect and empathy. "We want this place to be welcoming to everyone," she said firmly. "That means learning from what happened and doing better." Inspired by this commitment, the team brainstormed ways to use their position to contribute positively. Ideas ranged from hosting awareness events to collaborating with local shelters and veterans groups. The staff agreed to undergo sensitivity training to better understand and support marginalized populations, particularly those who had served in the military and found themselves without a home. Meanwhile, supporters of veterans and the homeless community rallied around Jack's story with renewed vigor. Fundraisers were organized, online campaigns launched, and volunteers mobilized to provide resources and assistance. Local shelters reported an uptick in donations and inquiries, many citing the viral video as a catalyst for action. Jack himself remained humble amidst the surge of attention. He continued his volunteer work at the shelter, now buoyed by the growing network of allies and advocates inspired by his example. His resolve to help others was strengthened, knowing that his story had sparked conversations far beyond the confines of the cafe. Rex, ever faithful, accompanied him on these outings, offering comfort and security to those they encountered. In the cafe, conversations between patrons took on new depth. Regular customers who had once overlooked the struggles of the homeless began to engage in thoughtful discussions about the systemic challenges faced by veterans after their service. Mia found herself at the center of many of these dialogues, sharing her journey from ignorance to awareness. Her transformation resonated with others, encouraging a broader shift in attitudes. One afternoon, a young woman approached Mia after finishing her meal. "I saw the video," she said softly. "It made me realize how little I understood about the people around me. Thank you for being part of that change." Mia smiled, grateful for the connection. "It's been a learning process for me too, but it's never too late to start." The cafe began hosting informal gatherings where veterans could meet, share their experiences, and find support. These sessions, modest at first, grew steadily as word spread. Local counselors and advocates volunteered their time to facilitate discussions and provide resources. The space became a sanctuary of sorts, a place where stories could be told without fear of judgment, and where healing could begin. As the community rallied, Jack's story became emblematic of a larger movement. Journalists and activists used his experience to highlight the gaps in services for veterans facing homelessness, pressing local governments to allocate more funding and improve outreach programs. Policy discussions ensued, with stakeholders seeking ways to bridge the divide between military service and civilian life. In the midst of these developments, the bond between Jack and Mia deepened. Their initial encounter, once marked by misunderstanding, had evolved into a partnership rooted in mutual respect and shared purpose. Mia volunteered regularly alongside Jack at the shelter, learning firsthand about the challenges and triumphs of those who had served. Jack, in turn, found an unexpected ally in the young waitress who had once scorned him. Their collaboration extended beyond the shelter, as they worked together to organize community events aimed at raising awareness and fostering empathy. The cafe supported these efforts by providing space and resources, becoming a hub for activism and outreach. Rex remained a constant presence, his calm demeanor and unwavering loyalty inspiring all who met him. The ripple effect of the viral video continued to expand, touching lives and changing perceptions. Social media users shared their own stories, creating a tapestry of experiences that underscored the diversity and complexity of veteran homelessness. Online forums buzzed with discussions about the need for compassion, systemic reform, and community engagement. Back in the cafe, Clara reflected on the transformation her establishment had undergone. What began as a simple lunch rush encounter had blossomed into a catalyst for change, challenging assumptions and building bridges between disparate worlds. She resolved to maintain this momentum, ensuring that the cafe remained a welcoming space for all. As the weeks passed, the narrative surrounding Jack, Mia, and Rex became a beacon of hope and resilience. Their story demonstrated the power of human connection to break down barriers and inspire action. The community, once fragmented by misunderstanding and indifference, was beginning to unite around shared values of respect and compassion. In the quiet moments between shifts, Mia often found herself watching Jack and Rex from across the room, marveling at the unexpected journey they had embarked upon together. What had started as a chance meeting had grown into a movement, one that challenged the status quo and reminded everyone that behind every face is a story worth hearing. Seattle's streets continued to pulse with life. But within the walls of the small cafe, a different kind of energy thrived, one fueled by empathy, courage, and the unwavering belief that change is possible when people choose to see each other with open hearts. And as Jack and Mia prepared for the challenges ahead, they did so with a shared conviction that every step taken toward understanding was a step toward healing a community in need. The following morning dawned crisp and clear over Seattle, the city waking to a fresh sense of purpose that had been ignited by the viral video's ripple effect. In the cafe, the atmosphere buzzed with a renewed energy, a mixture of hope and determination that seemed to permeate every corner. Mia arrived early, her mind racing with thoughts about the conversations and events swirling around the community. She had been contacted the previous evening by the manager, Clara, who asked her to meet with representatives from a local veterans advocacy group. The invitation was unexpected but welcomed, a chance to make amends and contribute in a meaningful way. As Mia stepped inside, the familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee greeted her, mingling with the soft murmur of early patrons. Near the counter, a small group had gathered, a few volunteers, a social worker named Linda, and a man in his late 50s who introduced himself as Marcus, a veteran who now worked tirelessly to support others like him. Their presence transformed the cafe into more than just a place to eat. It was becoming a hub for change. Mia's heart pounded as she approached the group, feeling both nervous and hopeful. Linda greeted her warmly. "We're glad you could join us," she said, her eyes kind but serious. "This is Marcus. He's been with the advocacy group for years and knows the struggles veterans face firsthand." Marcus nodded in greeting, his expression grave yet welcoming. "I heard about what happened here," he said. "It's a tough reality for many vets. The transition, the isolation, the invisibility. What you're doing, stepping up, it matters." Mia swallowed her apprehension and nodded. "I want to learn more about what veterans go through, how I can help." The sincerity in her voice was unmistakable, a stark contrast to the dismissiveness she had shown just days before. The group spent the morning sharing stories and insights. Marcus spoke candidly about his own battles with PTSD and homelessness, painting a vivid picture of the obstacles that too often went unseen. Linda outlined the resources available: shelters, counseling services, job training programs, but also the gaps that still left many veterans vulnerable. The conversation was raw and eye-opening, a far cry from the casual assumptions Mia had once held. As the discussion deepened, Marcus reached into his bag and pulled out a folder filled with brochures and contact information. "We're planning a fundraiser next month," he explained. to raise money and awareness for homeless vets. We could use someone like you to help organize it." Mia's eyes widened. "Me? But I'm just a waitress. I don't know if I'm the right person." Marcus smiled kindly. "Sometimes it's the people who've made mistakes and learned from them who make the best advocates. Your story can inspire others to change too." Encouraged, Mia agreed to volunteer, eager to play a role in something bigger than herself. She left the meeting with a binder full of notes and a growing determination to educate herself and others. Back at the cafe, word of the upcoming fundraiser spread quickly. Clara and the staff rallied behind the cause, offering their support and resources. The cafe planned to host a series of events leading up to the fundraiser: poetry readings, open mic nights, and informational sessions, all designed to foster dialogue and community engagement. Meanwhile, Jack remained a quiet but steady presence throughout the preparations. He continued his volunteer work at the shelter, his focus unwavering despite the whirlwind of attention surrounding him. When Mia approached him with news of the fundraiser and her new role, he nodded approvingly. "You're doing good work," he said simply. "It's about more than just one person. It's about lifting up the whole community." Their partnership strengthened as they collaborated on outreach efforts, pooling their experiences and networks. Jack shared stories from his time in the military and the shelter, offering a perspective that grounded their initiatives in reality. Mia brought enthusiasm and a fresh voice, connecting with people who might otherwise remain unaware of the challenges veterans faced. One afternoon, during a planning meeting at the cafe, Mia listened intently as Marcus and Linda discussed logistics. The fundraiser would feature guest speakers, live music, and a silent auction, with all proceeds directed to local veterans programs. The goal was ambitious: to raise enough funds to expand shelter capacity and provide job placement services. As the details took shape, Mia felt a surge of pride. The journey from a thoughtless comment to active advocacy seemed surreal, yet deeply rewarding. She realized that the incident with Jack had not only changed her, but it also sparked a movement within the community. In the days that followed, the cafe became a hive of activity. Flyers adorned the windows, social media pages buzzed with event announcements, and volunteers coordinated tirelessly. Mia balanced her shifts with her new responsibilities, finding strength in the knowledge that she was part of something meaningful. Jack, observing the transformation, reflected on the unexpected path his life had taken. The man who had once been invisible to the world was now at the center of a growing effort to bring light to the struggles of homeless veterans. He felt a renewed sense of purpose, buoyed by the connections he and Mia had forged. One evening, as the sun dipped below the city's skyline, Mia and Jack sat together in the quiet cafe after closing. Rex lay at their feet, his keen eyes watching over them. They spoke softly about the road ahead, the challenges, the hopes, and the work that still needed to be done. "I never imagined this," Mia admitted. "That one moment could lead to all of this." Jack smiled faintly. "Sometimes, it takes just one step to start a journey. And it's the people who keep walking that make the difference." Their conversation was interrupted by a gentle knock at the door. Evelyn, a volunteer from the advocacy group, entered, carrying a USB drive. "I have something you both should see," she said, placing the small device on the table. The three leaned in as Evelyn explained. The USB contained documents and recordings that detailed systemic failures in veteran support programs, exposing bureaucratic roadblocks and funding shortfalls. The evidence was compelling, shedding light on the depth of the crisis and the urgent need for reform. Mia's eyes widened as she absorbed the information. This could change everything. she breathed. "It's proof of what we've been fighting to fix." Jack nodded solemnly. "It's time to take this to the authorities, to make sure it can't be ignored any longer." Together, they devised a plan to use the evidence strategically, coordinating with legal experts and media contacts to amplify the message. The alliance between the cafe, the advocacy group, and community activists grew stronger, united by a common goal. As the night deepened, the three of them sat in quiet determination, ready to face the challenges ahead. The path was uncertain and fraught with obstacles, but they knew that with courage, honesty, and unity, they could break through the walls of indifference. The story that had begun with a simple act of disrespect had evolved into a powerful movement, a call to action that demanded attention and change. And in that moment, surrounded by the soft glow of the cafe's lamps and the steadfast presence of Rex, they understood that their fight was only just beginning. The evening air hung heavy with anticipation as the city prepared for the upcoming city council meeting, an event that had gained momentum far beyond the small cafe where it all began. Jack and Rex arrived early, their steady presence a quiet anchor amid the growing crowd of veterans, advocates, and concerned citizens gathered in the council chambers. The room buzzed with murmurs of hope and determination, each person carrying the weight of stories too often silenced. Mia stood just outside the chambers, clipboard in hand, coordinating last-minute details alongside volunteers and members of the Veterans Advocacy Group. Her nerves fluttered beneath a mask of calm. But as she caught sight of Jack's calm demeanor, a reassuring steadiness settled within her. Together, they had come a long way from the initial confrontation in the cafe. And now they stood united before the city's leaders to demand meaningful change. When the meeting commenced, the room fell into expectant silence. City council members took their seats, their faces a mix of curiosity and cautious attentiveness. The agenda was clear: a discussion on veteran homelessness, spurred by the recent public outcry and the compelling evidence unearthed by Evelyn and the Advocacy Coalition. Jack was the first to speak, stepping to the podium with Rex quietly at his side. His voice was measured but resolute as he recounted his own journey, from active duty as a Navy SEAL to the harsh realities of homelessness and the struggle to find support. The room listened intently, the raw authenticity in his words breaking through layers of bureaucracy and political posturing. "I am not just a statistic," Jack said, locking eyes with the council members. "I am a man who served my country with honor, who now fights daily to survive. But I am not alone. Thousands of veterans face the same battle, invisible and forgotten. We deserve better, real solutions, not empty promises." Behind him, Rex sat alert, a living testament to loyalty and service, drawing sympathetic glances from the audience. Mia watched from the sidelines, her heart swelling with pride and resolve. Following Jack's testimony, Marcus stepped forward, sharing data and personal stories that underscored the systemic failures in housing, healthcare, and employment support for veterans. The advocacy group presented the evidence from the USB drive, detailing bureaucratic hurdles and funding gaps that had long hindered progress. Mia then took the floor, her voice steady despite the weight of the moment. She spoke of her own transformation, from ignorance to awareness, and the powerful impact of empathy and community action. "Sometimes, change begins with a conversation," she said. "But it must be followed by commitment. Together, we can build bridges that lead to healing and hope." The council members asked questions, some skeptical, others genuinely engaged. A debate unfolded about budget allocations, program effectiveness, and the urgency of addressing the crisis. The room was charged with a mix of tension and possibility. After hours of deliberation, the council voted to approve a new initiative: increased funding for veteran shelters, expanded mental health services, and the creation of a job placement program tailored to the unique needs of those who had served. The decision was met with applause from the audience, a tangible victory born from months of advocacy and resilience. Outside the chambers, the crowd spilled into the streets, their voices rising in celebration. Jack and Mia shared a quiet embrace, the culmination of their journey marked not by fanfare, but by a shared understanding of the work yet to come. Emboldened by the council's support, the cafe community intensified their efforts. Mia spearheaded the organization of a fundraiser event, enlisting local musicians, artists, and speakers to rally support. Flyers adorned the neighborhood, and social media campaigns spread the message far and wide. The fundraiser night arrived, drawing a diverse crowd that filled the cafe and spilled into the adjacent park. Lights twinkled overhead as the strains of live music mingled with heartfelt speeches. Jack took the stage once more, delivering an emotional address that spoke of courage, resilience, and the power of community. Mia followed, sharing stories of transformation and calling on everyone present to become advocates in their own right. The energy was electric, a fusion of hope and determination that transcended the walls of the cafe. Rex, honored as a symbol of loyalty and service, received a warm reception, his steady gaze meeting those who had come to witness his quiet role in this journey. As the night wore on, funds were raised beyond expectations, promising tangible support for veterans in need. Volunteers signed up in droves, eager to contribute time and resources. The cafe's initiative became a beacon of community-driven change. In the weeks that followed, the new programs took shape. Shelters expanded, counselors were hired, and job placements increased. Mia continued her advocacy, balancing her work at the cafe with volunteer commitments. Jack found renewed purpose, mentoring other veterans and leading outreach efforts alongside Mia. The partnership between Jack and Mia evolved into a powerful alliance, one that inspired others to confront their biases and embrace compassion. Their story became a catalyst, sparking a broader movement within Seattle and beyond. Amid the progress, challenges remained. Bureaucratic hurdles, funding limitations, and societal stigma persisted, reminding everyone that the fight was far from over. Yet, the community's resolve had been fortified, tempered by the victories and the bonds forged through shared struggle. One afternoon, as Mia closed the cafe, she found Jack waiting outside with Rex. The three shared a moment of quiet reflection beneath the fading light. "Look how far we've come," Mia said softly. Jack nodded. "This is just the beginning. But with people like you beside me, I believe we can make a real difference." Rex wagged his tail, a steady companion in a world still in need of healing. Together, they stepped forward into the uncertain future, fueled by courage, faith, and the unyielding belief that change was possible when a community stood united. The night of the fundraiser arrived with a crisp breeze sweeping through the city streets, carrying with it a sense of anticipation and unity that had been building for weeks. The cafe, now transformed into a vibrant hub of community spirit, pulsed with life. Twinkling string lights hung overhead, casting a warm glow that softened the edges of the bustling crowd gathered inside and spilling into the adjacent park. The air was filled with the mingling scents of fresh coffee, baked goods, and the subtle notes of anticipation. Locals, veterans, advocates, and curious onlookers had come together, drawn by a shared purpose and the stories that had woven them into an unlikely family. Mia moved through the crowd with practiced ease, her face alight with a mixture of excitement and nervousness. She had spent weeks organizing the event, coordinating volunteers, and reaching out to performers and speakers willing to lend their voices to the cause. Tonight was more than a fundraiser. It was a celebration of courage, resilience, and the power of community. Jack stood near the makeshift stage, Rex at his side, his presence steady and reassuring. The dog's calm demeanor seemed to settle the nerves of many around him, a living symbol of loyalty and steadfastness that had come to embody the movement they were all a part of. Jack's eyes scanned the crowd, taking in the faces, some familiar from the cafe, others new allies brought together by the story that had sparked this moment. As the first notes of live music floated through the air, the crowd's chatter softened, turning to attentive silence. Jack approached the microphone, his posture composed and his voice carrying a quiet authority that commanded respect. "I stand here not just for myself, but for thousands of veterans who struggle in silence," he began, his words deliberate and heartfelt. "We've been invisible for too long, forgotten by the systems that should protect us, dismissed by society that doesn't always understand our battles. But tonight, we reclaim our story. We remind this community that behind every uniform is a human being deserving of dignity, respect, and hope." The room held its breath as Jack's voice wavered briefly, the weight of his journey palpable. This fundraiser is a step toward change, toward creating real opportunities for veterans to rebuild their lives. He gestured toward Rex, who sat patiently, eyes bright and alert. "And this loyal friend here is a reminder that we are never truly alone when we have support." Applause erupted, filling the space with warmth and encouragement. Mia stepped up next, her heart pounding but her voice steady. She spoke candidly about her own transformation, from ignorance and judgment to understanding and advocacy. "I was wrong to mock," she admitted, her gaze sweeping the crowd. "But that mistake opened my eyes to a reality I hadn't faced. Jack showed me the power of empathy, and together, we've seen how a community can come together to make a difference." Mia's words struck a chord, sparking nods and murmurs of agreement. She called on everyone present to become advocates, to challenge their own biases, and to support the ongoing efforts to address veteran homelessness. Throughout the evening, musicians played soulful melodies. Poets recited verses that spoke of struggle and hope, and local leaders shared messages of solidarity and commitment. A silent auction featured donated artwork, gift certificates, and memorabilia, all contributing to the growing fund that would support shelters, counseling, and job programs. Rex was honored with a quiet ceremony, his role as a service dog and symbol of loyalty recognized with heartfelt thanks. Children and adults alike approached to pet him, their smiles reflecting the comfort he provided to so many. As the night wore on, the tangible energy of the event inspired conversations, new connections, and a shared resolve to continue the fight. Volunteers signed up enthusiastically, eager to contribute time and resources. Donations exceeded expectations, promising real impact for the programs they aimed to support. Mia caught Jack's eye across the room, their silent exchange filled with pride and gratitude. The journey from that first tense encounter in the cafe to this moment of collective hope was nothing short of remarkable. Later, as the crowd began to dwindle and the last notes of music faded into the night, Mia, Jack, and Rex sat together beneath the soft glow of the cafe's outdoor lights. The air was cool but charged with the promise of what lay ahead. Jack's voice was low but steady. "Tonight showed me that people can change, that communities can heal." He reached down to stroke Rex's head. "But the real work starts now. turning this momentum into lasting support. Mia nodded, exhaustion mingling with determination. "We've started something powerful. I want to make sure it doesn't end here." The three shared a quiet moment, the bond between them strengthened by the shared victories and the challenges yet to come. The fundraiser had been more than a success. It was a beacon of possibility, a testament to what happens when compassion meets action. Outside, the city hummed with life, unaware of the small revolution kindled within the cafe's walls. Inside, the story of Jack, Mia, and Rex continued to unfold. A narrative of courage, redemption, and the unwavering belief that together they could build a future where no veteran would have to face their battles alone. And as the night deepened, the cafe stood as a symbol of hope, a gathering place where voices were heard, stories honored, and the seeds of change were sown with every shared smile and every act of kindness. The days following the fundraiser carried a renewed sense of purpose through the cafe and the city beyond. The energy sparked that night had not dissipated. Instead, it grew into sustained momentum that began to reshape not only policies, but the very fabric of the community's approach to veteran homelessness. Inside the cafe, the transformation was palpable. What had once been merely a place to grab a quick meal now hummed with activities centered around outreach and support. Volunteers, veterans, and advocates mingled freely, their conversations weaving together stories of struggle and hope. The cafe had become a sanctuary where healing began and where barriers melted away. Mia embraced her new role with fervor. Balancing her shifts as a waitress with her advocacy work, she dedicated herself to organizing programs aimed at empowering homeless veterans. She coordinated job training workshops, liaised with local businesses willing to offer employment opportunities, and helped develop mentorship initiatives pairing veterans with community members eager to guide them toward stability. Her growth was evident to all who knew her. The once uncertain young woman had blossomed into a passionate advocate. Her empathy deepened by first-hand experience and the friendships she had forged. She often found herself drawn to Jack, whose quiet strength and wisdom inspired her daily. Jack, for his part, had found a renewed sense of purpose that transcended his own struggles. He committed himself to mentoring fellow veterans, navigating the labyrinth of homelessness and reintegration. His experiences, once a source of pain and isolation, became a beacon for others seeking a way forward. Rex remained a steadfast companion, his calm presence providing comfort not only to Jack, but to the many veterans who visited the cafe. The dog's role extended beyond that of a service animal. He had become a symbol of loyalty and hope, embodying the unspoken bond between those who had served and the community rallying behind them. The shelter where Jack volunteered reported a marked increase in engagement, fueled by the visibility and support generated through the cafe's initiatives. More veterans found refuge within its walls, accessing counseling, medical care, and the resources necessary to rebuild their lives. One afternoon, as Mia prepared materials for an upcoming job fair aimed at placing veterans into stable employment, Marcus, the veteran and advocacy leader who had first introduced her to the group, entered the cafe. His face bore the wear of years of service and struggle, but was lit by a hopeful smile. "Mia, the progress you and Jack have sparked is remarkable," he said, shaking her hand warmly. "We're seeing real change. More veterans getting hired, more staying off the streets." Mia smiled, a quiet satisfaction settling over her. "It's all because of the community coming together," she replied. "And because of Jack's leadership. He's helped so many find their footing." Jack joined them, his presence grounding the conversation. "It's a team effort," he said simply. Every success is built on the support of others. The three of them discussed strategies for expanding outreach, including partnering with local businesses to create veteran-friendly hiring practices and securing grants to fund additional support services. Their plans were ambitious, but grounded in the tangible progress already made. Meanwhile, the cafe's own new program to provide meals and job opportunities for homeless veterans gained traction. Management had agreed to implement a hiring initiative aimed specifically at veterans, offering flexible schedules and supportive training environments. The program not only provided income but restored dignity and purpose to those who had long been marginalized. Veterans employed by the cafe became ambassadors of change, sharing their stories and encouraging others to seek assistance. Their presence challenged lingering stigmas and fostered a culture of inclusivity within the business and the broader community. Mia often found herself reflecting on how far everyone had come since that first fateful day when she had dismissed Jack with a cruel jest. The growth she witnessed in herself and others was a testament to the power of empathy and the importance of second chances. One evening, after closing the cafe, Mia and Jack sat together outside, watching as Rex dozed peacefully at their feet. The city lights twinkled against the night sky, a mosaic of possibility. Do you ever think about how different things might have been if that day had gone another way? Mia asked softly. Jack smiled faintly. Sometimes. But I believe everything happens for a reason. That moment sparked something bigger than either of us could have imagined. Mia nodded, a sense of peace washing over her. I'm grateful for that. For you, for Rex, for this community. Jack's gaze lingered on the horizon. There's still work to do. But with people like you, I'm hopeful. The quiet determination between them spoke volumes, a shared commitment to continue building a future where veterans were seen, heard, and supported. As the weeks turned into months, the impact of their efforts rippled outward. More shelters opened their doors, job placement rates improved, and stories of recovery multiplied. The cafe remained a steadfast center of activity, its walls holding the echoes of laughter, tears, and the unbreakable bonds of community. Rex's gentle presence continued to inspire all who met him, a living reminder of loyalty and resilience. Veterans found in him not just a service dog, but a symbol of the steadfast support available when one chooses to stand together. Mia, Jack, and their growing circle of allies embodied the truth that change was possible. Not through grand gestures alone, but through consistent acts of kindness, understanding, and unwavering support. And in the heart of the city, the cafe stood as a sanctuary, where hope was rekindled, lives were rebuilt, and the promise of a better tomorrow burned bright. The cafe hummed with a quiet warmth, a sanctuary of connection and healing nestled amidst the city's constant hum. Inside, familiar faces gathered, veterans sharing quiet conversations over steaming cups of coffee, volunteers coordinating outreach efforts, and community members drawn together by a shared commitment to change. The space had evolved from a simple eatery into a vibrant hub for support, understanding, and growth. Jack sat at a corner table, his posture relaxed but attentive, as he listened to a young veteran recount his struggles with reintegration. Rex lay peacefully at his feet, alert yet calm, a steadfast companion embodying loyalty and trust. Nearby, Mia moved among the patrons, her smile genuine and welcoming as she checked in with those who had become like family. This cafe was more than a place to eat. It was a refuge where stories were heard, wounds tended, and hope rekindled. The walls bore witness to transformations, from despair to determination, from isolation to community. Veterans who had once wandered the streets found here not just meals, but friendship and purpose. Mia paused at a bulletin board adorned with flyers for upcoming events, job training sessions, counseling groups, and social gatherings designed to foster connection. Each flyer represented a thread in the tapestry of recovery woven by countless hands. The cafe's initiatives had sparked a ripple effect, inspiring other businesses and organizations to join the cause. She approached Jack, who looked up with a nod. "How's it going?" she asked softly. "Good," he replied. "The guys are opening up more these days. That's progress." His eyes held a quiet pride. "This place means a lot to them, and to me." Mia smiled. "It means a lot to all of us. It's a home of sorts." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Marcus, who carried fresh brochures from a local veterans shelter. "We've got new resources to share," he announced, spreading the materials across the table. "More housing options, mental health services, and a new program for family reunification." Jack's face softened. That's what many need most, to reconnect. Mia nodded thoughtfully. The community we're building here can be a bridge for those reunions. As the afternoon sun filtered through the windows, a group of veterans gathered for a workshop on job readiness. The room buzzed with cautious optimism as they practiced interview techniques and shared their aspirations. Mia facilitated the session, drawing on her own journey from doubt to advocacy to inspire confidence. Later, as the cafe closed and the evening settled in, Jack and Mia sat together outside, the city lights twinkling around them. They reflected on the journey, the hurdles overcome, the friendships forged, and the resilience discovered. "Sometimes it feels like we're only just beginning," Mia said. "But look at how far we've come." Jack smiled, his gaze steady. "It's all about the small moments, the meals shared, the stories told, the hands held. That's where healing happens." Rex shifted, lifting his head to watch the world with patient eyes. He was more than a dog. He was a symbol of unwavering support and the promise that no one had to face their battles alone. As the night deepened, the cafe stood as a beacon of hope, a testament to the power of empathy and community. It was a place where second chances were not just possible, but embraced, where every individual story mattered. Jack, Mia, and the many who called this place home understood that the path ahead would not always be easy. But together, they were building a future rooted in respect, compassion, and the unshakable belief that everyone deserves a place to belong. And within those walls, amid laughter and quiet moments of reflection, the story continued, a living testament to the strength found in unity and the enduring power of human connection. The morning light filtered softly through the cafe's large windows, casting a gentle glow over the familiar faces gathered inside. The room was alive with quiet conversations, smiles exchanged, and the comforting hum of community. Jack sat near the window, his gaze steady as he watched the world outside, while Rex rested loyally at his side, embodying the steadfastness that had become synonymous with their journey. Mia moved between tables, her warmth and attentiveness bridging the gaps between strangers and friends alike. The cafe had become more than a place for food and drink. It was a sanctuary where empathy flourished, where stories were shared without judgment, and where every individual was seen and valued. Reflecting on the journey that had led them here, the themes of empathy, respect, and the intrinsic value of every person resonated deeply within the walls of this community hub. The transformation was not just in the physical space, but in the hearts and minds of those who entered. Veterans who had found hope, advocates who had found purpose, and neighbors who had found connection. Mia paused by the counter, watching as a young veteran nervously accepted a hot meal from a volunteer. The moment, simple yet profound, encapsulated the power of kindness. A reminder that dignity could be restored through small acts of compassion. Jack approached, his voice low but firm. "It's easy to forget how much respect means until it's taken away," he said. "But here, it's given freely. That changes everything." Mia nodded. "It's about seeing people beyond their circumstances, recognizing their worth." Outside, the city thrummed with life. But inside the cafe, time seemed to slow, allowing space for reflection and healing. Veterans discussed plans for the future, shared memories of service, and supported one another through the challenges that remained. The bonds forged in this haven were strong, woven from shared experience and mutual respect. Rex, ever vigilant, moved among the patrons, offering comfort with a gentle nudge or a steady gaze. His presence was a living testament to loyalty and resilience, qualities mirrored in the community he helped nurture. As the day unfolded, Mia and Jack took a moment to sit together in a quiet corner. Their conversation touched on the personal transformations they had witnessed and experienced, acknowledging the growth that came from opening hearts and minds. "We've come a long way," Mia said softly, "but there's still work to be done." Jack smiled, a spark of determination in his eyes. "Change doesn't happen overnight. It's a journey, one we're on together." The cafe's story was one of ongoing evolution, a narrative that celebrated personal growth and community unity. It stood as a beacon, reminding all who entered that every person deserves respect, understanding, and a chance to reclaim their story. In this space, the scars of the past were met with compassion, and the promise of a better future was nurtured with every shared meal, every listening ear, and every act of kindness. As the sun set beyond the city skyline, the cafe's lights glowed warmly, a symbol of hope and resilience. Within its walls, the journey continued, a testament to the enduring power of empathy and the belief that, together, a community can heal and thrive. The city's morning light filtered softly through the cafe's large windows, illuminating the gathering within. A mosaic of faces touched by stories of struggle, resilience, and hope. Veterans, volunteers, and community members mingled with quiet purpose, the atmosphere thick with the unspoken understanding that this place had become more than a cafe. It was a sanctuary where transformation was not only possible, but celebrated. Jack sat near the window, his calm presence a steadying force, with Rex resting loyally at his feet. The dog's steady gaze swept the room, reflecting the unwavering bond forged through shared trials and triumphs. Mia moved gracefully between tables, her warm smile and attentive ear weaving connections that bridged differences and healed divides. This was a story not just of individual redemption, but of collective awakening. The journey had illuminated the profound impact of empathy and respect, demonstrating how recognizing the inherent value of every person, regardless of circumstance, could foster change far beyond the walls of this humble cafe. Mia paused to listen as a young veteran shared his hopes for the future, his voice tinged with cautious optimism. The simple act of being heard here had rekindled his sense of worth, a testament to the power of community support. Nearby, volunteers prepared materials for upcoming initiatives aimed at expanding outreach and resources, each small effort a building block toward greater inclusion. Jack's voice broke the gentle murmur as he spoke to a gathering group. "We've learned that dignity isn't given by chance. It's earned through kindness, respect, and standing together. Here, every story matters. Every life counts." The cafe had become a beacon, drawing others into the fold, businesses adopting veteran-friendly policies, neighbors volunteering time and skills, and advocates pushing for systemic change. The ripple effect was undeniable, spreading hope through the city like a steady tide. Outside, the streets pulsed with their usual rhythm. But inside this sanctuary, time seemed to slow, allowing space for reflection, healing, and growth. Veterans leaned on one another, sharing memories, offering advice, and forging bonds that transcended past hardships. Rex moved among them, a living symbol of loyalty and resilience. His presence comforted even the most guarded, reminding all that support could come in many forms, sometimes silent, always steadfast. As the day waned, Mia and Jack found a quiet corner to share a moment of reflection. The path they had traveled, from a chance encounter marked by misunderstanding to a movement rooted in compassion, felt both improbable and inevitable. "We've come far," Mia whispered, eyes shining with unshed tears. "But this is just the beginning." Jack nodded, a spark of determination lighting his gaze. Change takes time, it takes heart, and it takes all of us. Their shared journey embodied a universal truth. That transformation begins with seeing each other clearly, embracing vulnerability, and choosing kindness over indifference. It was a call to action, an invitation extended to all who witnessed their story. As the cafe's lights flickered softly against the encroaching night, the message was clear. A challenge to viewers and communities everywhere to look beyond first impressions, to stand with those in need, and to believe in the possibility of second chances. In the quiet that followed, the cafe stood not just as a physical space, but as a symbol, a testament to the enduring power of empathy, the strength found in unity, and the unyielding hope that, through collective courage and compassion, lives could be changed, communities healed, and the world made a little kinder for all who call it home.